Joining us in the studio is royal commentator Sarah-Louise Robertson. Very good to see you. That clip is really heartfelt. It's really emotive. I'm not the biggest fan, as many people know, of Harry and Meghan, but this is what I think Harry does incredibly well. The Invictus Games is really important. It's really powerful. It gets these ex-service people back on their back into the arena. I think it helps their mental health. It does so much good for them. What are your thoughts on this documentary and really Harry bearing his soul?
Well, I agree with you there, David. The Invictus Games is so important, as you've just pointed out. But I feel yet again this is Harry overshadowing it with his own trauma. We've heard this so many times, these tales of woe, and it just seems it's Harry on repeat yet again. And people are just quite bored of it now. They're sick of hearing about it. How many times is he going to go on about his mother?
Is that not quite a damaging narrative
happened?
to share, I think? I'm just going to challenge you on that, because for anybody who has been through trauma and has been through mental health difficulties, I think one of the barriers to actually seeking help is the fact that they feel like people might think that they're going on and on and on about it. And actually for them, it is very, very real.
Yes.
And it will carry on going on and repeating itself until they feel better.
Of course. But what people are taking umbrage with in this clip that we've just seen there from Prince Harry is the fact he was saying he was getting no help and support when back in 2017 on a podcast with Byron Gordon he thanked Prince William, his older brother, for helping him through that trauma.
Who was also a child at the time.
But he thanked William and said how William gave him great support, and as the Queen would say, recollections may vary. So this is again Harry distorting the truth, distorting the past for his own gain.
Which
people have long memories.
But if you're saying he's distorting the past, which
well,
bit
he
of
is,
it
because
is distorted?
what is it? Did Prince William help him, as he said in 2017 when he was praising Prince William to the hills?
I think you could probably argue that there's no distortion there. The fact that somebody that he didn't get help from the adults who at the time were grown-ups, and actually William would have been just a teenager, and I don't think that is adequate help at the time. You need to have professional help if you have at such a young age.
To when they were older. So Harry said back in...
But it's still not professional help, is it?
When he was 20, when he was 25, when he was 28. I mean, this is a man who has great privilege, and he has had help. He spoke to Byron Gordon about mental health, about how he always sought help for his mental health. This was obviously pre-marrying Meghan. And it's just now, things just that come out of his mouth just don't correlate with what he said in the past. And that's why people can't trust him when he says things. You know, they say you have to have long memories when you... talk about your past in that way.
I'm going to be much softer on him because I think he's a deeply troubled man. I think he
Clearly.
went through... Yeah, I mean, he went through a lot of childhood trauma, and losing your mother at that age must be absolutely...
But what about William? No one talks about William lost his mother as well and was 15, but, you know, no one speaks about that.
But people deal with this, and I'm talking as a medic here, people deal with bereavement very differently. Yeah. And, of course, they're in very different positions as well. And I think Harry hasn't had closure on this, and I think certainly the royal family, any family, sometimes doesn't know how to deal with it. I think actually the royal family didn't know how to deal with it, and I think the king as well is not known for expressing emotion. I don't think they knew how to deal with this either. I agree actually. I think he needed more help at that particular time. I think he needs ongoing help. Hang on, all I was going to say though, being a man also means that you're really bad about talking about your feelings, and of course we saw them come together with Heads Together, didn't we? Actually, which was a brilliant
Yes, it was. And Harry seemed at that time like he dealt with everything. So why now is it just constantly rearing its head?
Why do you think?
Well, for publicity, or is someone stirring this from behind the scenes? You have to. This is a very different Harry we're seeing in California to what we knew before, the Harry before, who seemed much more positive and seemed like he dealt with his trauma and was getting on with his life. Now it seems like he's just wallowing in it.
But he set up the Invictus Games years ago, long before he moved over to California, and one could argue that he's only reliving this in order to get publicity for the documentary. And the documentary itself is not just serving him or Meghan, it's serving these veterans.
Agreed there, Nicola, but I feel this is overshadowing from them. You know, some of these people in this documentary, they've gone through absolutely horrific trauma. I would much rather hear from them than hearing Harry, a man who was born with not just one silver spoon in his mouth, but an entire cutlery drawer.
Well, it's not very realistic, though, is it? It's not very realistic that Netflix would commission a documentary with Prince Harry about the Invictus Games and go, do you know what, Harry? Actually, people probably don't want to hear what you've got to say.
For William to draw an olive branch wouldn't have been lovely if he'd said in that documentary, again, William did help me. That would have been such a chance for them to unite again.
Look, I mean, I'm going to sit between the two of you here, and I agree. This is about publicity for the Invictus Games. And when you look at what he has achieved, and let's not take away from this, you know...
I never would. It's fantastic.
It was founded in 2014. It includes 23 nations, community members now 2,500. I think also, actually, one other point about this, which is, I think you have to understand pain, you have to have experienced pain. And that he has definitely experienced pain, and you can tell in his own narrative.
Yes.